as King Charles raised his hand suddenly. In front of the cameras of hundreds of worldwide media outlets, Queen Camilla had unexpectedly entered the room and purposefully separated Prince William and Princess Catherine. The royal family was in the midst of a crisis that reached its peak when this unusual public episode occurred. An individual with top-secret information disclosed that Camilla's audacious action was not a coincidence. It was a sleazy plot that had been prepared in advance to keep her daughter-in-law hidden away in the shadows. What she did not anticipate, however, was William's covert camera trap. A word of caution regarding this rehearsal room. In the 12 days leading up to the significant Garter procession that took place at Windsor, the atmosphere inside St. George's Hall was fraught with mounting tension. Throughout the centuries, the stone walls had witnessed a great deal of ups and downs for the royal family, and they now felt like a brutal battleground for emotions. During the practice that was closed to the public, the polished wooden floor was illuminated by soft yellow lights. Members of the family arranged themselves in a specified layout. When Queen Camilla arrived, there was an instant increase in tension. As she entered the area where the visual technology team was working, she strolled in. She did her best to concentrate on the enormous displays that were capturing every single movement that Princess Catherine made. Camilla was attentive to every single grin, head tilt, and adjustment of her ceremonial hat that she appeared to make. Camilla experienced a severe thorn in her side on account of the inherent appeal that her daughter-in-law possessed. A hard reality was shown to her. Regardless of how much she dressed up as queen consort, the public would always take preference to the younger woman who was standing behind her. In a short amount of time, envy evolved into plans. Throughout the live broadcast, Camilla was adamant about not sharing any of the attention with anyone else. It was her assistant who was standing nearby with a script folder, and she turned to face her. While maintaining a chilly demeanor, Camilla pointed to the monitor that displayed the movements of the procession. Her insistence that the Wales procession piece be divided into two distinct parts was a point of contention. At accordance with a malicious scheme, Catherine would be positioned at the extreme rear of the Grand Hall, entirely concealed behind the tall stone pillars. In this scenario, she would be cut off from all of the primary camera angles. This was a clear objective for Camilla. The visibility of the pair from Wales was something that she desired to lessen. In order to make room for herself and the king, she intended to eliminate Kate's presence and take up the central position. Camilla entertained the notion that she might have influence over how the general public perceived them if she managed their positions on the red carpet. The public had extremely high expectations for the next generation, and she intended to bring those expectations down. But Camilla failed to recognize the potential of her stepson, Prince William, who proudly inherits the bloodline of Princess Diana, who passed away, stood at the front of the lines for the practice. He somehow managed to overhear his stepmother's icy demand. He did not show any regard for her position as queen, and he did so without hesitation. As William made his way straight to the technical monitoring area, his expression was stern, and his eyes were filled with the rage that he had suppressed for many years, ever since Camilla became a member of his family. He did not make use of any eloquent phrases or eloquent words. To Camilla's face, he pointed a strong finger in her direction. In a state of shock, the entire technical staff became frozen. As he spoke, his tone became more powerful and low, and it reverberated throughout St. George's Hall. As I stand here, my wife is with me. I will say it again, no one is permitted to force her into the shadows without her permission. The words spoken by William were like a powerful jolt of ice water that hit Camilla's self-centered aspirations. The courtiers were insulted by this courageous resistance, which was directed toward the most powerful woman in the palace. She pressed her lips together tightly, causing her red lipstick to seem smudged. She clenched her hands so tightly around the sash of her gown that her knuckles became white. In the midst of a heated conflict, their eyes met. As a result of their animosity toward one another, the boundary between stepmother and stepson disappeared. It dawned on Camilla that William was no longer the reserved young man he had been in the past. At any cost, he was resolute in his commitment to safeguard both his wife and the succession to the kingdom. Camilla's refusal to back down from William's rage infuriated him even further, and it only served to feed his hatred. In complete silence, she turned around and walked away. Nevertheless, she began to formulate a more sinister scheme in her head to undermine William on the day of the wedding, regardless of the potential consequences that could result from her actions. Concealed in the shadows is the treacherous plot. When the event was scheduled to take place, Windsor Castle was calm and tense in the morning. The enormous doors would soon be opened to welcome visitors from all across the world. Camilla took a courageous choice while the guards were scrutinizing the weapons in the courtyard, which was located deep within the palace. The humiliating result of the rehearsal that had taken place 12 days previously was not something she would accept. She went over the border of propriety because she was afraid of being eclipsed by younger royals. She was well aware that if they continued with the strategy that had been devised in the beginning, Catherine would be the focus of attention, while Camilla would be relegated to the background with the king. Camilla made a last-minute strategy to engage in an illicit exchange in order to effect this change. She summoned her shady executive assistant to her private dressing room at Clarence Tower and invited her to join her. In order to prevent any curious servants from entering, she secured the massive oak door. Camilla positioned a little piece of parchment on her antique wooden dressing table, which was surrounded by jewelry and makeup. Through the late hours of the night, Camilla had crafted a chart by hand. It was not allowed, and it was against the law. According to this chart, she positioned Prince William and Princess Catherine in a significant distance from one another, leaving only one seat in the middle. This location was indicated by an arrow that was sketched by her trembling hand. Camilla had the intention of making a daring move by entering that location when the procession was in progress. This was not merely a change that wasn't harmful. In order to publicly isolate Catherine, it was a well-planned and executed scheme. The gorgeous princess was the target of Camilla's desire to make her appear as though she was an outsider in front of the people and the media. As she stared at the chart, the executive assistant's anxiety level continued to rise. In addition to trembling, he was dripping sweat down his forehead. The significance of the rules governing the ceremony was not lost on him. He altered the official procession chart without first receiving clearance from the prince and the monarch. He was aware that this would be considered treason. This action has the potential to quickly destroy both his career and his reputation. On the other hand, Camilla got in his way. As her breath became heavier with scent, she stepped closer to me. As her piercing gaze remained fixed on him, he experienced a sense of confinement. She made him feel threatened by leveraging his profession and the secrets he kept against him. Before the procession departs, you are required to covertly switch this chart with the official folder belonging to the Lord Great Chamberlain, she stated with a deep snarl. The things she spoke to him felt like a burden that compelled him to breach his devotion. When the assistant realized that there was no way out, he dropped his head in terror. In order to conceal the obnoxious chart, he folded it up with his coat. He dashed out of the room in a hurry, his face looking pale. In a hurry, he made his way via the vacant corridors to the ceremonial operations room, which was the location where the folder belonging to Lord Great Chamberlain was stored. By approaching the table at a time when the guards were adjusting their positions, he took advantage of the situation. The moment he opened the leather binder, his hands began to shake. His actions consisted of removing the official chart and replacing it with Camilla's outline. His covert mission was finished when the clip snapped shut like a snap. While Camilla was in her dressing room, she looked in the mirror and grinned, indicating that she was satisfied with the spiteful plot she had devised. When the sun dawned, she was certain that Catherine would be subjected to the most humiliating public appearance of her whole life. On the other hand, Camilla failed to recognize her threat. She was unaware that she was going up against someone who was so astute that they were prepared to foil her schemes. A covert counterattack on the enemy. After their violent argument at St. George's Hall, Prince William was aware that his stepmother Camilla, who was eager for power, would not accept defeat. They had a deep understanding of her genuine nature. In her pursuit of power, she would employ any and all deceptive strategies. William organized a unique surveillance operation the night before the event was scheduled to take place. Through the use of a trap, he made certain that there was no way for any traitor to escape from the main operations room. He issued an order for the installation of a covert camera that was supposed to be concealed within an old bronze statue. The protected tablet that William had with him was the recipient of the feed from this camera, which recorded continually and sent its feed. Williams was in his study viewing the entire thing on his tablet when Camilla's anxious assistant made the unlawful sample. William was observing the entire event. In addition, he witnessed the assistant's expressions of shame and the speed with which the original document was removed. Even Camilla's unsteady handwriting when it was written on the phony document was captured on tape. As William continued to preserve the footage as evidence against her, his rage continued to grow. He was aware that he needed to reveal the entire plan in a methodical manner that would ultimately lead back to Camilla, the genuine mastermind. In the next room where Catherine was getting ready for the ceremony, he went to check on her readiness. A reassuring hug was given to her, and he cautioned her to keep her distance and maintain her strength of character. Moreover, he assured me that he would handle everything else. Camilla experienced a sense of contentment as she observed the illicit folder being removed under the radar without anyone noticing. She felt confident that she had triumphed and was prepared to demonstrate her authority in front of millions of viewers. Nevertheless, she was unaware of the fact that William had meticulously documented and examined each and every action and decision that she had taken. The hunter who had previously been of great strength had become the naive prey. The key to setting the trap for her was in William's possession. The most intense anger of the king, following the collection of unambiguous video evidence from a covert camera, Prince William decided to take immediate action. It was during the time that King Charles III was arranging his ceremonial robe that he entered the special bedroom set aside for him. There was no attempt made by William to make the situation more amicable or to exchange any formal welcomes. He proceeded to walk straight to the hefty wooden desk that belonged to his father, slapped down a tablet, and then hit the play button on the hidden video. His Majesty King Charles III remained silent while he watched the television. His expression abruptly altered as he witnessed the bold actions taken by the assistant, which were motivated by Camilla. His bewilderment morphed into a deep purple wrath as he battled to convince himself that what he was seeing was actually happening. Unbelievably, the woman whom he had labored so diligently to elevate to the position of queen consort could have committed such a heinous act. It was the most significant day of the monarchy's existence, and her acts were bringing shame upon it. Charles's anger was through the roof. In the event that Camilla had been successful in carrying out her plan in front of the public, he was aware that it would reveal a significant rift among the royal family. It has the potential to significantly diminish the likelihood of William and Catherine being the next in line for the throne. A meeting of the family was not soon scheduled in order to resolve the matter. In order to facilitate communication amongst the various parties concerned, no soft document was written. Rather than that, Charles made the decision to take decisive action. Because he was the leader of the royal family, he would make use of his power. Quickly rising to his feet, he made his way to a massive antique oak cabinet that was located in a dimly lit area of the room. In this cabinet were the instruments of royal authority, which were only utilized in extreme circumstances that posed a threat to the family's ability to continue living. Charles lit a little candle made of beeswax and placed it in front of William. Over the flame, he heated a thick, dark red wax stick until it dripped hot wax onto a piece of royal paper. He then removed the stick from the flame. He created a secret decree by pressing his solid gold royal signet ring into the wax while it was still hot. The decree was sealed with a red wax seal that featured a three-tiered crown. The decree in question was not a straightforward administrative instrument. In order to guarantee that Prince William and Princess Catherine would remain together throughout the Garter ceremony, it was a command that may have resulted in their deaths. Furthermore, it bestowed complete authority upon the Lord Great Chamberlain and the Royal Guard, directing them to forcibly remove from their positions anyone who violated procedure, regardless of his or her status. Designed to be a potent instrument of retribution, the red wax seal was a strong instrument. The following day, Charles presented the parchment to the Lord Great Chamberlain, who had been summoned to the king's bedroom in an emergency. The parchment was still contaminated with the odor of burning wax. As Charles gazed intently into the eyes of his devoted courtier, he gave the command for him to carry out the edict without giving Camilla any thought. As William stood nearby and saw the entire process of sealing, he experienced feelings of contentment and determination. In the late hours of the night, the trap of royal power was laid. Camilla was surrounded by an impenetrable net that had been placed in a covert manner, and it was waiting for her to enter it so that she could be embarrassed in front of the people when morning arrived. The embarrassing stop in the middle of the square. The beginning of the Garter Parade took place in Windsor under a clear sky. With enormous flags and beautiful flowers in their hands, thousands of people lined the streets, expressing their excitement. There were millions of viewers all over the world who watched the event live as it was broadcast on international television networks. A happy sound emanated from the brass trumpet as the procession passed through the gates of the castle with a sense of grandeur. Wearing a broad smile, Queen Camilla strolled boldly alongside King Charles III as they walked together. She had the impression that the planners of the procession were in possession of her fictitious chart, and she was certain that her plan would be carried out in the manner that she had envisioned. She gave a quick glance to the throng that was cheering, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of joy at the idea that her daughter-in-law had been eliminated from the picture. As soon as the procession arrived at the center plaza in front of St. George's Chapel, the moment of action was about to take place. Camilla placed an unapproved handwritten sketch that she had secretly inserted into the binder. She relied on it totally. Suddenly, she sped up her pace and started weaving through the line, stepping boldly between Prince William and Princess Catherine. She quickly became the center of attention. Through the use of her enormous ceremonial robe, she intended to prevent Catherine from being seen by the primary television cameras. Her goal was to force Kate to retreat and therefore surprise the audience. With a look of victory on her face, Camilla cast a glance in Kate's direction, convinced that she had successfully carried out her plan to overshadow the princess. Leaving Kate in the shadows, she made an effort to appear unconcerned, as if it were nothing more than a simple accident. On the other hand, the moment Camilla walked into the void, her strategy was completely shot down. The march of King Charles III came to an abrupt halt, and he raised his hand, which was covered in white gloves, to a high position. As a result of his resolute move, the entire procession came to a standstill, and the square fell into complete silence. It came as a complete surprise to everyone when the king suddenly broke out of line and marched straight toward Camilla. It was clear that he was really angry. It was with a chilly order that he pointed back at the line and told her to instantly return to the position she had been in before. The arrogant smirk that Camilla had worn turned into a look of dread. The realization that the cameras were recording her public scolding caused her face to turn from crimson to pale, indicating that she was feeling humiliated. As soon as it occurred, William walked closer to Catherine, took her hand, and then proceeded to go ahead. During the time that they were forming a strong wall to protect her, Camila was being pushed to the edge of the lineup. It took only a few seconds for this event to take place, yet it had a significant impact. In front of the entire globe, it was among the most humiliating experiences that a queen consort could ever go through. After being compelled to retreat, Camila made her way to the rear of the formation. In a state of powerlessness and misery, she tightened her teeth. She had to make her way through the swarm of international dignitaries while hearing their whispers and keeping a cautious eye on her. The unfortunate queen's downfall and fall. As soon as they walked via the massive wooden doors that led into St. George's Chapel, the company immediately dispersed and went into the compartment that was reserved only for the royal family. 2 armed guards secured the doors, which were made of strong wood and shut with a firm slam. When the public and the press were not present, the atmosphere in the holding area underwent a complete transformation. The recent events that were placed outdoors caused Camila to feel a great deal of embarrassment. She abruptly whirled around and yelled at the king in a furious manner. "In front of everyone, how could you take the time to embarrass me? It is I who reigns supreme. It is because of you that I have lost my title for this daughter-in-law." Her chest was rising under her silk dress, and her eyes were flashing with rage. She was breathing heavily, and her chest was rising. The Princess Catherine approached Camila with composure, despite the fact that she was angry. Camila was the recipient of her direct gaze, as she authoritatively stated, "You can't blame anyone else for this. It was there, in front of the cameras, that you caused a marriage to fall apart between 2 people who were married. As a result of your deeds, you have come to an end." Despite the fact that she believed she had covered up her wrongdoing, Camila laughed cruelly. They were approached by her, and she stated that the ceremonial chart had recorded it in that manner. "In the absence of any evidence, what authority do you have to charge me?" Since she was under the impression that her dishonest helper had disposed of the handwritten sketch following the exchange, she felt safe, even though she lacked evidence. Afterward, a surprising occurrence took place. The Prince of Wales made his way to the wooden table that was situated in the middle of the room. The 2 objects were slammed upon the table when he reached into his ceremonial coat and took them out as he did so. One of them was a private tablet that displayed a video of Camilla's helper switching the chart while it was being recorded by a covert camera. The second item was the chart that had been handwritten without authorization and was marked with Camilla's distinctive pen. Hi viewers, are you thrilled that Prince William outsmarted Camilla's malicious plot by setting up a covert camera trap and slamming the undeniable video evidence right on the table, yes or no? Put yes in the comments if you believe William is the brilliant protector Princess Catherine and the monarchy need. Following the conclusion of the ceremony, William had given his agents the order to retrieve it. Camila fixated her gaze on the chart, her anxiety increasing as she became aware that she had been discovered. In an attempt to prevent herself from collapsing, she took a shaky step backward while clinging to the arm of a hefty chair. Her entire body was shaking. A phony chart was placed next to a secret decree that was sealed with a red wax seal. King Charles III approached and placed the decree. He glanced at Camila with a gloomy and icy expression on his face. "Did you believe that I was unsighted? I signed this decree last night after William showed me the evidence of your guilt." He added in a manner that was stern and authoritative. "Today's snare is one that you chose to fall into on your own. In order to take action against us, you lied. You are about to be punished by the truth." As her dignity began to disintegrate, Camila sank onto a luxurious sofa, unable to respond to the situation. The only sound that could be heard was her cries of embarrassment as she lost her royal majesty. The room sank into complete silence. Those who were in the right were pleased with the speed with which the penalty was carried out, which was within 24 hours. There was no hushed discussion taking place behind the doors of the palace. Camilla was stripped of her ceremonial privileges as a result of another proclamation that King Charles officially approved. Camilla was deprived of the golden key that would have allowed her to enter Windsor Castle's grand entrance, which was something she had always desired. A strong iron chain was used by the guard to shut the door in front of the palace personnel, putting a stop to her presence from that location. It was no longer possible for Camilla to enter the palace because Princess Catherine was now in possession of the key. Through a letter, King Charles expressed his support for Catherine's role in providing protection. Additionally, Charles restricted Camilla's schedule, which prevented her from attending royal events with the next generation, and he disallowed her from participating in any activities with her stepsons. A dishonest assistant was expelled from the palace on the same day because they were involved in unlawful document exchanges because of their involvement. After some time had passed, Camilla confided in Charles that she was concerned about being overshadowed by William and Catherine, feeling that she had any genuine influence. In another chat, William shared with Catherine that he had considered the possibility of removing her from the procession in the event that Camilla's intentions managed to disrupt it. After everything was said and done, Camilla was forced to realize that her role had been diminished, which resulted in her being placed under house arrest in a remote mansion away from the royal family and the public. The story came to a close with William and Catherine walking hand in hand through the doors of the palace at sunset, demonstrating that the pursuit of truth ultimately prevailed against dishonesty. Hi viewers, if you agree that King Charles and Prince William made the absolute best decision to strip Camilla of her ceremonial privileges, take away her golden key to Windsor Castle, and hand that power over to Princess Catherine, put yes in the comments. Like this video, share it, and subscribe right now. Let's show the palace that true royalty means transparency and justice. Hit that subscribe button right now to show your unwavering support.